Welcome to Inside Taiwan. My name is Fiona, and this is the AI-powered podcast that takes you behind the headlines into the heart of the supply chain at the center of global attention. Every day, we sift through 30 trusted sources, from Taiwan's business dailies to the world's top financial and tech outlets, using AI to surface the stories that matter most, distilled for global investors and decision makers. Follow Inside Taiwan for insights delivered with speed and context. Today, we're peeling back the layers on a massive question. Is the tech Cold War starting to thaw? Or are we just seeing a strategic repositioning on a global chessboard? We're kicking off with a potential policy U-turn from Washington that could have huge implications for Nvidia and its biggest market outside the US. Then we'll look at how Nvidia is simultaneously deepening its roots right here in Taiwan, and how Japan is placing a multi-billion-dollar bet to become a chip powerhouse once again. But what does all this high-level strategy mean for businesses on the ground? We'll check in on the reality of AI adoption in the corporate world. And spoiler alert, it's not as simple as flipping a switch. Finally, we'll zoom out with legendary investor Ray Dalio to understand the massive historical forces at play and what it tells us about the future of tech, money, and power. Let's get into it. First up, a fascinating development from Washington that has everyone talking. According to Reuters, the U.S. Commerce Department is considering allowing Nvidia to sell its H200 AI chips to China. Now this is a big deal. Why? Because for the last couple of years, the U.S. has been tightening restrictions, trying to prevent China from getting its hands on the most powerful AI hardware. Current rules only allow Nvidia to sell a much less powerful chip, the H20 model. The H200, unveiled 2 years ago, is a beast. It's packed with more high-bandwidth memory and is estimated to be twice as powerful as the sanctioned H20 chip. For Nvidia, getting the green light to sell it would reopen a massive cloud computing market that it's been largely locked out of. This isn't just about one company's revenue, though. It signals a potential shift in U.S. strategy. The core tension has always been a balancing act. On one hand, the economic desire to let U.S. companies compete globally, and on the other, national security concerns that these advanced chips could be used to bolster China's military capabilities. If this move is approved, it could signal a friendlier stance, but it also raises big questions about where the U.S. will draw the line in the future. While Washington debates what to sell to China, Nvidia isn't waiting around. Here in Taiwan, the company is moving full steam ahead. The Taipei city government has just cleared a major hurdle for Nvidia to build its new Taiwan headquarters. After months of negotiations, the city has sorted out a land use contract for 2 plots in the Beitou Shilin Technology Park. Mayor Chang Wanan expects to sign a contract with Nvidia before the Lunar New Year, with construction potentially starting by mid-2026. This headquarters isn't just an office building. It's expected to be a major R&D and supply chain coordination hub. It's a powerful statement that regardless of policy shifts elsewhere, Nvidia sees Taiwan as absolutely central to its future in AI. And the story doesn't stop there. Over in Japan, the government is making its own massive move. According to Commonwealth Magazine English website, Japan is pumping an additional $6.4 billion into its homegrown chip champion, Rapidus. Think about that number. This brings the total public sector investment in Rapidus to a staggering level, pushing past the equivalent of $50 billion when all is said and done. The goal? To mass-produce cutting-edge 2-nanometer chips by 2027, and even more advanced 1.4-nanometer chips after that. This is Japan's ambitious play to re-establish itself as a leader in advanced chip manufacturing and reduce its reliance on foreign foundries. For the global supply chain, it signals a new, deep-pocketed player is entering the high-stakes game currently dominated by TSMC and Samsung. So, you see the pieces moving all at once. The US reevaluates its export rules, Nvidia doubles down on its Taiwan hub, and Japan funds a national champion. The entire landscape is shifting. So we have these massive government investments and corporate strategies playing out. But how are businesses actually implementing AI? Is all this hype translating into real-world value? A recent report by BCG, which analyzed over 4,800 corporate earnings calls, gives us a fascinating reality check. Here's the headline. About 60% of CEOs are struggling to get their AI initiatives past the pilot stage. They're running interesting experiments, but they can't seem to scale them across the organization. Why is that? Think of it like building a new national highway system. It's not enough to have a few flashy sports cars, the pilot projects. You need the roads, the gas stations, the on-ramps, and an entire generation of people who know how to drive. In the corporate world, that means rewiring business processes, updating HR to hire the right talent, and reskilling your existing workforce. There's often a disconnect between the CEO's grand vision and the team on the ground that has to actually build it. And what about the dream of Agentic AI? That futuristic vision of a digital assistant that can book your entire business trip on its own? Well, for now, it's still mostly a wouldn't it be cool if idea. The big challenge is accuracy. As one expert put it, if you string together 10 steps in a process and each step is only 80% accurate, your final result has less than a 50% chance of being right. That's why, for now, we still need a human in the loop to check the work. The technology is a powerful co-pilot, but it can't fly the plane on its own. Just yet. This gap between the stock market's enthusiasm and the slower pace of real-world adoption is showing up in the markets. Just this week, the Taiwan Stock Exchange saw some pressure on AI stocks, driven by concerns of a potential bubble, especially after Nvidia's shares consolidated in the US. It's a reminder that while the long-term vision is powerful, the path to get there is filled with practical challenges. This complex mix of policy shifts, market jitters, and on-the-ground challenges can feel overwhelming. So how do we make sense of it all? Let's zoom out to the 50,000-foot view with legendary investor Ray Dalio, who has a framework for understanding moments just like this. Dalio argues there are 5 major forces that have shaped history for the last 500 years, and they're all converging right now. 1. The money and debt cycle. Think national debts and the value of currency. 2. Internal conflict, wealth gaps and political polarization within countries. 3. External conflict, the rise and fall of global powers like the current competition between the US and China. 4. Acts of nature, think pandemics and climate change. And number 5, technology, specifically man's inventiveness. Right now, AI is that 5th force, the great invention that's accelerating everything else. Dalio compares this moment to the 1920s, with the arrival of electricity, cars, and radio. It's a period of immense productivity and wealth creation, but also one that creates bubbles. He makes a brilliant distinction between wealth and money. It's like owning a Picasso painting. You might be a billionaire on paper, but you can't use the painting to buy groceries. A bubble pops when too many people try to sell their wealth, their Picassos or their high-flying stocks, for money all at once, only to find there aren't enough cash buyers. And you can see how these forces connect. The AI boom, Force 5, is creating vast fortunes, widening the wealth gap, Force 2. This in turn drives political debates inside countries, like the one in the US over federal versus state AI regulation, Force 2. Meanwhile, the US-China tech rivalry, Force 3, is forcing governments and companies to rethink their supply chains, breaking old economic models. And this brings us full circle, right back to the heart of our story. As former Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger recently told Nikkei Asia, the 2 most unique and critical technology ecosystems in Asia are Taiwan and Japan. He said, "There is no place like Taiwan, where an idea can go from prototype to mass production in the blink of an eye." That's what's at stake. It's not just about one company or one policy, it's about the entire ecosystem. The blend of design, manufacturing, materials, and talent that will power the next generation of computing. So, as we see these giant gears of history turning, from policy debates in Washington to fab construction in Japan and R&D labs in Taipei, it's clear we are in a period of profound realignment. This isn't just about faster chips or cooler apps. It's about the reshaping of global power, corporate strategy, and our economic future. The moves being made today will define the next decade of the global supply chain. The question for all of us as investors, leaders, or just curious citizens is how to navigate this new era. How do we stay resilient, ask the right questions, and find the opportunities for growth and impact amid such fundamental change? Thanks for tuning in. This has been Inside Taiwan. Don't forget to subscribe to the AI-powered podcast, bringing you the stories and signals shaping the world's most valuable supply chain.